Hello and welcome to another episode of the Defining the Dash program. Joined here today in studio. My name is Mark Mullins. I'm your host. Joined today in studio by my good friend, Brother Chad Clifton. Brother Chad, good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you, Brother Mark. Glad to be back with you here in studio.
Hey, good to have you. Good to have you back with us, um, Brother Chad. I'm continuing to read my book that I've set out to do in my New Year's resolution, and I hope your resolutions are going well, and so our listeners too. Last week we were talking about being stewards, really, about money and budgeting. And budgeting is a great way to be a steward of the money that we have been blessed with, that God has given us the ability to work for, or to have money come into our accounts in various ways. And He's just blessed us with that. And then sometimes it's what we do with the blessing that we receive.
Yes, sir.
And so, continuing this week, talking about budgeting. If we remember, Brother Chad, last week we were talking about how Phil in the Phil
Good
in
old
the
brother.
Bible, John chapter 6, 5-7, he was in a strait, and the strait was that he had 5,000 people to feed, and he had somewhere around $300 to do it with in today's currency.
Sounds like taking my bunch out to eat.
It sounds absolutely, man. Sounds like a miracle needed indeed. And thinking about that, that was kind of a launch point for the importance of having a budget.
Yes.
So last week we talked a little bit about doing a budget, Brother Chad, with your spouse if you're married, and
Yes,
how
sir.
that was important, and how we should be spit shaking and pinky promising, about the plan. You had mentioned about making a zero-based budget. And if I remember right, that had to do with making sure that every dollar had a name and a job before the month began.
Right.
An example we gave last week was February coming up. And so February coming up, we know there's Valentine's Day in there. And so we may have to adjust some of our money that we used for Christmas gifts a couple months ago and kind of channel that towards Valentine's Day.
Right.
Right. Something else we talked about, you brought up that every month was going to be different. And so month to month, line items are going to differ in the amounts. We talked about the big four walls of the budget. We talked about food, utilities, shelter, and transportation. Those are the big four. And then after you get the big four, then you go on down the budget items.
Yes, sir.
Talked about using that. Budget is good for us, Brother Chad, in the current, and it's also good for us in the long term.
Yes, sir.
Currently, it helps keep the light on, and long term, it helps pay it. We can use it to pay down debt and not pay off so much money in interest.
Right.
And then go ahead.
I was just going to say, and there's multiple ways too, multiple options available for doing your budgeting now, like multiple tools. Let's say, there are all kinds of budget apps out there.
There are
multiple that you can get involved with. There are budget planners online. There are planners you can purchase in stores. There are, just get a notebook and sit down and kind of draw up your own. There's multiple tools available for starting and maintaining a budget that will help you to do that, because I'm a visual guy.
Yep.
I like being hands-on, seeing the numbers, seeing it all add up. And sometimes if you're thinking, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do, it's just not going to make sense. But when you sit down and see the numbers work out,
right,
then you're like, okay, I got this, and then it may click, because it's just a theory until you can see them numbers.
Right.
And then you're like, I think I can do this,
Gives you confidence.
Yeah, it gives you confidence. Sometimes you just need that visual aid. And another thing, which this is goes with budgeting, but it goes into saving a little bit, I guess, that I thought was unique, and it's one of those things that we often kind of forget about. But one of my grandparents, one of their ways of saving money, they're on a fixed income, and it's a low amount, and so they have very little that they can save. But what they do is when they go to the store and they break a $10 bill, and they give them back a 5 and some ones. Okay, anything that's a 1 or a 5. Let's see. No, My mama, she only does it with the fives. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
If she gets a $5 bill, she puts it back in a jar.
Oh, that's interesting.
If she gets a $5 bill, she saves all her $5 bills, and she'll use them then if her car needs worked on, or if she wants to remodel a room of her house. That's where that money comes from, and it don't come out of her actual income each month.
Man, that's awesome.
When I was reading about some of this online, there's people that do that with dollar bills, some with $5 bills, and some with $10 bills.
Mm-hmm.
And so, really, over they would at one point she had $700-800
Man, that's awesome.
put back in savings because she just piled her $5 bills up and just let them, and she was able to. She needed a Newport, needed some of her roof replaced or something like that, and she was able to get that done on her house because she had just took the time to change her mindset enough to put those $5 bills back.
Intentional about it.
Yeah, to be intentional about it, and so that's going to be a big thing. Is just getting herself into a new mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you was talking about having getting yourself into a mindset. I remember when Jen and I started our budgeting a couple years ago. A visual aid that we use.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about just the visual aid of this. Jen is an artiste. She is awesome at everything she does. And one thing that she does that she's really awesome at is she's a really good drawer, artist. And so, drawer. Anyway, she's a really good artist. And so on the side of the fridge, we had something big that we was trying to pay down, and that kind of thing. And so what she did is she made a thermometer on the side of the fridge, and we had, like, for every $100 on it or every $1,000 on it, she had little lines on it. And so as we were working towards paying that debt down, we would take on that thermometer, we take a red marker and we would just kind of mark across, almost like you're raising the temperature on something.
Right.
And so what that helped us do is anytime we scraped together a few extra bucks or something and put it towards what we were trying to pay down, we'd take a red marker and we would just mark across it. And so as time went on, we could see the progress.
Right.
And so, he's talking about just a visual aid. That helped us a lot. That was probably a big thing for us.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, it's just a bunch of numbers and stuff, and you don't ever really feel like you're making any true progress.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes it'll just make you feel like you're drowning. If there's not something there you can see, that makes you know that it's okay,
Right.
And so you'll just, that visual aid, as simple as it may be, whether it's drawing out a thermometer and doing it that way, which is a great way. A lot of businesses will do that when they're raising money.
Right.
Or if it's just putting it on a piece of paper and adding the numbers up. As long as you've got something visual that'll be a help to you. I mean, whatever you need, I think it's a great idea.
And then something else, Brother Chad, when we're thinking about doing budgets and stuff, it's good to have a visual aid, but it's also good to have a concept of why we are budgeting. Why are we sacrificing? Why are we even making a budget?
Right.
Why even do that? Probably as important as a goal, such as paying off student loans or building up an emergency fund or paying off your house or whatever the case is, as important of having a goal is you got to have a why. Why am I doing this?
Right.
Why am I shaving my budget? Why am I just going out to eat one time a week instead of 4 times a week? Yep. What is my end goal? What am I trying to do?
Right.
And so, sometimes, the why for Jen and I, at the end of the day, was we were trying to really just change our family tree, man. Really. And not we ain't got a bad family tree. That's all I'm saying. We got some pretty good roots, and I mean, I'm not going to complain. You know what I mean? It's goods and bads, crazy in all family. You know what I mean? And so, but just looking forward that, with our kids, when our kids get older, if we were able to put ourselves in a better position now, sometimes life just happens, man.
It does.
And so for us, a big thing for us was our kids. Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to just put ourselves in a position where, something happened to kids or they needed something, we were in a better position. So that why we are sacrificing now, doing it for our kids, doing it for our future family, that was our why, And so you got to have a goal, but you also got to have a why, as far as that goes. Tracking progress. He's talking about tracking progress and having visual aids and apps. There's a really good app out there. I'm just going to throw this out there called the Every Dollar app.
Mm-hmm.
And on the Every Dollar app, you can list on there your income, and you can put on there. It's got different different line items. You got your income, you can giving, your savings, housing, electricity, phone, internet, water, and you can go on down through there, different line items. And so those kind of things are we found to be very, very helpful.
Yes.
Um,
And again, like we said last week, that every dollar, which is in that title, does not necessarily mean you're spending every dollar.
right.
It just means every dollar has a job or an assignment of what it's going to go to.
Right. Now, I would have to say, Brother Chad, when we started this whole budgeting thing, I got nervous.
Oh, me too, because I'm horrible at it.
Because
I was like, what a great topic for you to cover. And I think I told you that on the phone.
I think you did.
Yeah.
And man, when we started this whole budgeting thing a couple years, what made me nervous about it is I like squirrel money.
Yeah.
And so for any of our listeners that don't know what squirrel money is, you got to imagine walking out to your back porch, and you look out there and you see your tree in the back, and you see this little squirrel on the base of the tree, and it's just having a happy day in the sunshine. And then you see it grab something that looks like an acorn, and he squirrels up the tree and he hides it. And so what he has is squirrel money in the form of acorn. And so what us guys do, what I do, is squirrel money. And so what squirrel money is maybe $5 here, $1 there, 50 cents here. And, you know, my wife gives me $20, tells me to go buy a couple gallons of milk, and it's almost all gone just buying a couple gallons of milk. But I have like $2 extra, and I just kind of squirrel that away into my pocket. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what I call squirrel money. And as a married man, squirrel money is important, man.
It is.
You know what I mean? That's how you buy your pack of nabs. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you got to have the squirrel money.
You got to have it.
And so I'm just going to I'm going to go out there for all them guys out there, all them husbands out there that's nervous about the budget.
Yes.
You got to allow your wife, you women, you wives have to allow men to have their squirrel money.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Every week you get $10 for squirrel money. You don't have to tell what you bought with it. You don't have to necessarily share your nabs. It's just your squirrel money. You know what I mean? And so there should be a miscellaneous line in the budget.
Oh yeah,
is guess what I'm trying to say.
That's a great idea.
Yep, for true.
Because it's almost, you know, sometimes it's really discouraging because you might work 50, 60 hours that week.
Yep.
And then when you get paid on Friday, you're like, oh, I can breathe. Well, you've already did your budget, and it's like all your money's gone before you even get it.
Yep, you feel like it's already gone before you get
it. But
there.
if you allow yourself like what you're calling squirrel money,
yep,
it's almost like a small reward.
Yeah,
you've still got that little reward, you know.
Yep.
And so that I think that's a great idea.
And you give yourself privilege, the opportunity and the option to be able to spend that money. You don't feel guilty about it.
Yeah,
because it was already budgeted. You know, my $10 this week, my $15 this week.
You don't have to take it away from something else because you already planned for it. Yep,
right, absolutely.
That's a great one.
And so you gotta have that. You gotta have the guys. You gotta have your line item in there for your squirrel money.
And I'm going to and to add to this, there are times that it just seems that things just don't add up.
Sure.
And you're like, man, I got to get some money coming in from somewhere else.
Yep.
And so these things here, you know, that I'm saying, again, I am not great with a budget. I need to improve. That'll be, I guess, my 4th or 5th New Year's resolution.
Oh yeah.
I may just start a book, my New Year's resolution. But you know, these processes here that I'm getting ready to name are things that I have done and I have tried myself that work, that are great ways to add to your income without taking time away from your family. Really. Okay. If that makes sense, because I can no longer get out and really work a full-time job.
Right.
And so there are things, you know, I got to do, or for my wife can do that will help to add a little bit of gas money here and there, you know. And so, you know, there are things you can use like eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, If there's things around your home, you're going around and you're saying, you know what, that picture's hung there for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take that picture down and we'll put it up in the attic or put it out in the garage and store it. Oh, okay. Why store that for 10 years?
Right.
Take a picture of it, put it on movie, and get you $20 out of it, $10 out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Add to your income rather than adding to your clutter pile,
Awesome.
your death pile. And so, if I find something sometimes at Goodwill that is
Mm-hmm.
nice clothing that may not fit, or at a
Mm-hmm.
yard sale or something that I think someone else can use that I can get at a decent price and maybe make $1 or $2 on.
Sure.
I've done that. I've turned
Mm-hmm.
around and sold it to add some. My wife and I have been married. This will be we're going on 21 years now this year in April, and last year we was able to go on a anniversary trip. We in 20 years we went on 2.
Okay.
Our 10 year and our 20.
All right.
That's the only time we've got a loan by ourselves to get to go anywhere, and so.
That makes you want to stay married for until 30 years.
Yeah.
For another trip.
I'm like, well,
yeah,
she was
awesome.
like, we need to do that again this year. And
That's
I'm
awesome.
like, yeah, we do. One time, a year, just it really ain't
Just
enough
go.
just to get along, talk, go out
Yeah.
and eat together,
Yeah.
And so I would sell stuff on eBay and Poshmark, Mercari, and I would put that money back into a totally separate account,
Mhm.
like a Cash App account.
Okay.
I really like Cash App. It's separate from a bank account. There's a certain amount in it. If somebody was to hack that card, they're not hacking my whole bank account.
Right.
It's just that. And so I set up that Cash App account, and anything money I would get from eBay or whatever, then I would transfer to the Cash App
Mhm.
instead of a bank account. So when my anniversary rolled around, I had money to take my wife to eat. We would spend a few days in the Smokies and
Mhm.
all of that. That didn't come out of our monthly paycheck.
Right.
It came out of sales online.
Right.
And I was able to do things that I really, if I had just solely relied on our monthly income, it wouldn't have happened.
Right.
And so there's options like that you can do that really is not going to take time away from your family. It's going to help you to multitask because at the same time of you making some money for your family, you're decluttering and getting it out of the way. And instead of throwing it away, get you a couple bucks out of it.
Absolutely, man.
Another thing that we have actually done that we can do together.
Mm-hmm.
I can take my children. Me and my wife can do it. I ran into another person that was doing this, and I'm like, "Oh, how long have you been doing this?" And she's like, "Well, I'm not. My daughter does it, and I just come with her."
All right.
And I'm like, "Okay," and that's doing DoorDash and Spark.
So what is Spark?
Spark is.
I know what Spark plug is.
Spark, you deliver packages for Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
You can deliver groceries for Walmart.
Oh, that's awesome.
So if somebody wants their groceries delivered,
mm-hmm.
there's an app just like DoorDash, and you can accept the order. It'll tell you how many stops you have to make, whatever. So I might pull in up at the Walmart pickup if I accept an order, and it'll tell me you've got 12 stops, 15 packages. Okay. And so one of those stops is stopping at Walmart to pick it up.
Okay.
You pull into the curbside pickup thing, and they'll bring all those packages out to you. Then you take them and you deliver them to people's houses, and then you get paid. It tells you before you accept the job, that offer, what you get paid, and a lot of times they offer bonuses on top of that. And so, the other day we delivered 12, 14 packages, and they were all down in one particular area, like maybe at Baptist Valley. We ran one day just in Baptist Valley, delivering about 15 packages.
Awesome.
And it was like an hour and a half to 2 hours. We made $35.
Man, that's awesome.
And I mean, it was very simple. And things. They also, you can go and you can pick up groceries for people. They'll already have them bagged, bring them out to your car, and they'll say, this one goes to Stiltner, this one goes to Harrison, this one goes to, they'll tell you the name, whatever, and you just kind of separate them in your vehicle. And then the app will tell you where the people live, how to get there, which one to go to first, all that. You go, you deliver the groceries to them. Once you deliver it, that money automatically will go into your account.
Man, that's awesome.
And so you get paid right then.
Right.
If you sign up for their little card, it's called One, is the banking they go through. You get paid; it goes in right then.
Man, that's awesome.
And so there's things
That's
like that,
awesome.
and I can take my wife, I can take my kids.
Yep. You can listen to a podcast. What time you're down the
I
road?
can listen to this awesome podcast that we love called Defining the Dash,
Mhm.
and and so there are things that we can do that we can, there is. I'm always one that's online looking for side hustles, as they
Sure.
call it online, to make
Sure.
some extra money. Because I would love to be in a situation where I could just be able to comfortably take care of my family.
Well, sure, man.
And so I'm always looking for something to try to help do that. And these are some things I found that have worked for me.
Yeah.
It's not something I've seen on Instagram and I'm promoting, but these are things that I have used that have helped me. And so hopefully if somebody else is out there in that same shape,
right,
maybe it'll be a help to them too.
Yeah. Or brother, you was talking about that, and I made a note that if we're doing our budgets and we're running into an issue,
Mm-hmm.
and there's more line items than what there is money.
Yeah.
Budgeting problems come down to one of two things. It's either an income problem,
mm-hmm.
which you talked about, a few different options out there for us to kind of help get our money up, get our money flow up a little bit, or it's an outgo problem.
Right.
So we're either not bringing enough money into the pot, or we're taking too much money out of the pot.
Right.
As far as that goes.
Yep.
And so, man, I think that was a great ideal. When Jen and I was working towards, our big financial goal we was working on, and paying some of that stuff down. Man, Jen, she was working. She was working, a day or two a week as a nurse in the hospital, and then trying to keep me straight the rest of the days, as far as that goes. And
full-time
then,
job.
And then some, man. and then, I was working a full-time job, and then I had another job or two on the side, very part-time work. But like you said, man, $20 here and there, $30 here and there, man, it adds up.
Yeah,
it definitely adds up. And so if you're doing your budget and you're running into some issues, look at your income, be thankful for what you've got coming in. But if you're having a hard time, make balancing your budget, look at either the income or the outgo issue, and then see which one of those that needs work. Maybe both needs work,
mm-hmm.
and maybe just one needs work. But that's kind of something to think about.
And I remember one time I got my youngest son involved. We went to like a Goodwill store, and I said, okay, we're going to see what we can find in here that we could flip, make a little bit of money off of to help the income.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'll let you pick out something and I'll pick out something.
Mm-hmm.
And if what you picked out sells before the item that I picked out, I'll give you half of what the profit you make off it.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, we live here in Ridgelands, Virginia, a little small town, We went into the Goodwill and there was a set of ice skates.
Isn't that something?
And I'm like, it was like the middle of summer.
Yep.
And there was a set of ice skates in there. And he's like, Dad, we've got to buy these. And I'm like, kid, you're crazy. we live in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
There's nowhere to ice skate. So nobody locally is going to buy them.
Right.
It's like the middle of summer.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no froze over ponds anywhere. Nobody's really are you sure this is the item that you want?
Right.
To be your item. Oh yeah, we can sell these. All right.
Easy money for Dad.
He won. His item sold before mine did.
That is crazy, man.
Yeah, so I had to give him part of the deal. But what they did is that got him involved in the problem solving process.
Absolutely.
That got him involved in learning a little bit of making money on his own and him contributing to the success of the family.
Right.
And so it was it had multiple benefits.
That's awesome, man.
And so and I was just trying to get somebody to go to Goodwill with me. Really.
Sure, man.
But looking back at it now, it had multiple benefits.
That's awesome.
And it was really fun to see.
Yeah. He's talking about the income thing. I'm focused a little bit on the outgo issue, and it's a big problem in America. It's over $1 trillion problem now,
Yes.
and that problem is credit cards.
Sure. Yeah.
Man, you've got to watch the old plastic swipe.
Yeah.
The average credit card interest rate in January 2024, right now, current, 24.5%
Yes.
is the average. That's with good credit.
Yeah. 24 to 30% is so common on a credit card.
It's so common. A lot of people, we look at that and we think, it's just numbers. A lot of people don't register that 24 to 30%. But what that means, brother, is that if you've got $100 on your credit card and you don't pay that down, then over a year period, you'll spend an extra 25 to $30 just on the interest payment.
Mm-hmm.
And so $100, for some people, it's a lot of money. Other people, it's not a lot of money. But if you multiply that up to $10,000, I don't know what the average is on credit card, but you're talking about these rolling credit cards that never get paid off.
Mm-hmm.
The interest payment that we as consumers are paying the local banks.
Oh yes.
Now I got a bank. I'm gonna get a bank, but
Right.
I would rather have that interest being in my account instead of bank accounts.
Sure.
So be careful about something interesting about credit card or even credit card usage is people. There's been some studies done, brother Chad, and people will spend more money when a transaction is on a card than they will if they do a transaction with cash.
Right.
And the reason why is with cash, you feel it.
Yeah. Right then, you see your wallet empty.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, man, I was at a gas station the other day, and man, I was so thirsty, and I've been trying to do a little better about eating better and drinking. I just needed something to drink. So I went over there. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy me a bottle of water. Be healthy. Who would have thought 10, 15 years, 20 years ago, brother, when they started bringing out bottled water, it was almost a joke around here.
Like, who's going to buy
Who's going to buy water?
Yeah.
But now, man, the other day, the bottled water was more than the Dr. Pepper. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But they were selling a bottle of water for $2.99. I can't remember I think I actually bought it. I think I was done enough to buy it. But thirsty. I thought I was going to die. But I wasn't going to die. I just thought it was. But I swiped the card. I was like, man, and when I got to the truck, I was like, man, I didn't even feel that.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I look at my little glove compartment where my squirrel money is. And so where everybody knows don't tell my wife. But where my little squirrel money is. I had like $4 or $5 in there. And I looked at that and I thought, you know what? If I had that money in that cash in my wallet in the store, I probably would not have bought that because I would have felt that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so, looking at your budget, that kind of thing, really look at how much money we're spending on the credit cards.
And it also it lets you fall into a trap of, well, I can charge this now because I can just pay for it later.
Yeah.
Like you said, you don't feel it right now.
Yeah.
I'll pay for it later.
Yeah, and you'll pay for it later,
and you will, and then some. Yeah, usually you'll pay for it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. 2 or 3 times what it costs. Yeah.
Another tip I have for our listeners and myself too, Brother Chad, is I want to throw out there that with budgeting, a very important tip is being content with what you have.
Yeah.
Don't now. I've got some
huge.
family, some cousins. Their last name are Jones. And so I can say, don't keep up the Joneses. And I know what I'm talking about, because I got family that's Joneses.
Yeah.
But like those saying, man, don't be trying to keep up the Joneses. Comparing yourself to other people will rob you of your joy,
Yes,
and your paycheck.
Yes, it will.
Absolutely. Be content with what you have when you can.
And what really what that ties back to is as a people, as a country, as a nation, America has been so blessed.
Sure.
We can talk to some of these missionaries that go to these foreign countries that are poor and the people are living in huts and rundown houses and don't have electricity and things. They don't have to preach against TV. They don't have to preach against jewelry. They don't have to preach against a lot of the things that in holiness churches we do, because they don't have you probably don't have to go over there and tell people how to budget.
Sure.
Because they don't have nothing to budget with.
Right.
They are just simply surviving, and they don't have the extra income. So a lot of we really just don't realize how blessed we are. And instead of, like you said, instead of being thankful really for what we have been blessed with, we are just not content until we get that next thing.
Right.
We think, oh, if I could just get to this. And then once you get that, you're like, oh, but if I can get this.
Right.
When you buy the new iPhone, before you really even get it paid off, if you do the payment plan thing,
right,
there've already been like 3 more iPhones come out.
It was already designed before you bought yours.
Yeah, before you bought it, it was designed. And oops, as soon as you signed the papers, guess what? Another one just came out.
Oh, yeah.
And so then you're like, well, now I've got to buy that one.
There's always going to be a bigger boat.
And we go bigger boat, faster car, bigger home, know. And, I've always kept saying, man, I'd like to get a different house. I'd like to get a different house. And my wife and kids are like, well, why are you not content here?
Yeah, what's wrong with our house?
Yeah, so I guess here's number 6. I need to be content in this new year. 6 or 7. What number are we up to now?
Oh, man, we're getting up there. We're getting up there.
Resolution. I need to go back and listen to these episodes just so I can write them all down.
Write them all down. And Brother Chad, probably the last tip I'll have to give people with a budget is you got to give yourself some grace.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It'll take 3 or 4 months, 3 or 4 tries to get a good handle on a budget.
Sure.
So if you mess up, don't get discouraged. Get your pen and paper back out. Get your app back out. Look at things again.
Yeah.
And go another round.
Don't be afraid to fail.
Right.
Because we all failed to start with, which is why we kind of needed to do a budget.
Absolutely.
So if you do it and it don't, you didn't necessarily do something right, or it didn't work exactly how you had it planned, or maybe you slipped up and went out that extra time eating McDonald's or whatever. Okay, let's try it again next month. Right. Let's not just
don't give up.
Say, oh, I failed, I can't do it, and give up.
Yeah.
Let's try this again.
And you'll be glad you did.
And another thing people spend a lot on in this day and time is entertainment.
Sure.
Whether it's music, or whatever they're using as entertainment. And one of these things that I thought was neat, that when we was talking about doing this, that I found said, try something new that is free or inexpensive if it can help replace more costly habits. Even better if it's something that you can return to doing that was an old hobby and you already have the equipment for.
Yeah.
And so trying something that's free or inexpensive, like we talked about on the New Year's resolution episodes, of maybe visit a state park with your family. Absolutely. They may have like a $4 entrance fee or something like that. Some of them charge entry fees now. I'm not sure. But, if you just go out for a picnic.
Be a good day, man.
Okay. You can take some of your food budget that you bought groceries and get some, take some of your sandwich supplies from home, pack it up, and just take a cooler and go out to the state park.
Absolutely.
And have a picnic and spend the day with your family, throw a ball, whatever. That's going to be something that's inexpensive or free even. It's already counted out in your budget.
Right.
And do things like that. When I was reading this, I was thinking about how we would play airsoft. I've got airsoft guns at the house that me and the kids and a bunch of the young people from church in the last couple of years played airsoft. And then probably in the past year, we've about quit, not got to play. Well, instead of going out and finding something new, why not? If you got all the equipment laying around, why not get airsoft back going?
Absolutely.
You got all the equipment already.
Right.
It ain't going to cost you nothing extra to do it if you're looking for something fun to do, something that you're going to get a little bit of exercise with.
Right. If somebody made you mad, you can shoot them and
not
go to jail.
Yeah. Like, hey, youngin', you're messing up my budget. Exactly. But no more Taco Bell.
I said one burrito, not 2. Take that.
But man. I mean, there are things that we can do that are really fun. What? This is going to sound silly, and I know we're running short of time now. But one thing that I found that was fun and that was free.
What's that?
That was fun to do with your family. Geocaching.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome stuff.
We got into doing that. I think it was like on an anniversary. We was like, what are we going to do for our anniversary? And the kids was with us and stuff, and we was like, let's just go geocaching. That's something that's going around now. And so we pulled it up, and there was an app you could get on your phone, and it would show your area and all the geocache spots. And so we was like, let's figure out what this is, And at first it was like, am I going to get arrested for going onto this property? Do
Yep.
I need to sneak or just And then it was once you got to doing it, it was fun. It was like
Yep.
a scavenger hunt,
Yep.
And it was fun. And then you got to write your name on the little piece of paper that's in that, and you can leave a penny or nickel if you want to, or take something out of whatever's there. And it was so interesting, and it was
Mm-hmm.
just something new, fun, and cheap
Yep.
that you could just get out and do with the family.
Yep.
And it gave you time together.
And you know what? It's got a lot to do with what we're talking about. Geocaching, cash.
Yeah.
Brother, to wrap up this episode, I've got a dad joke that you guys may remember from the last episode.
Yeah. Love that.
Episode for last. My wife asked why I didn't buy her flowers. To be fair, I didn't know she sold flowers.
They wasn't in the budget.
It wasn't in the budget. All right. Well, thank you, listeners, for tuning in again with us this week. We're going to, until next time, let's keep it real and find the dash. Thank you, and God bless.
God bless you.
When I win this war, I've got a church and a